Hey, what's up everybody? Valerie Alina here. And let me tell you, my journey to financial freedom, it wasn't always pretty. When I first started out, I was clueless. I'm talking clueless with a capital C. I made every mistake in the book, from racking up credit card debt to ignoring my investment accounts. But you know what? Those mistakes, they were the best teachers I ever had. They taught me more than any book or course ever could. And today, I'm sharing them with you. I remember when I got my first paycheck. I was so excited to finally have money of my own. I thought I was rich. I went out and bought new clothes, ate at fancy restaurants, and basically just spent money like it was going out of style. I had zero plans, zero tracking, and zero clue where my money was going. Sound familiar? It's the easiest trap to fall into when you're just starting out. You think you have all the time in the world to get your finances in order. But let me tell you, the sooner you start budgeting, the better. Trust me, I learned this the hard way. Without a budget, I was flying blind. I didn't know how much money was coming in or going out. And let me tell you, that's a recipe for disaster. It's like trying to navigate a maze in the dark. You're bound to bump into walls and end up lost. That's what happened to me. I ended up in credit card debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and feeling totally out of control of my finances. I remember one day I was trying to buy groceries and my card got declined, right there in the checkout line. It was humiliating. I had to put half my groceries back and practically run out of the store. That's when I knew I had to make a change. I realized that I couldn't achieve my financial goals. Heck, I couldn't even buy groceries if I didn't get my spending under control. So I sat down and created a budget. I tracked every single money I spent for a month, and let me tell you, it was eye-opening. I couldn't believe how much money I was wasting on things I didn't even need. Once I saw where my money was going, I could start making changes. I cut back on unnecessary expenses, started cooking more at home, and found ways to save money on things like groceries and entertainment. And you know what? It worked. Within a few months of budgeting, I was finally in control of my money. I was no longer living paycheck to paycheck, and I was even starting to save money each month. But most importantly, I had peace of mind. I knew where my money was going, and I had a plan for the future. Listen, I get it. Credit cards can be tempting. You see something you want and you think, I'll just put it on my card and pay it off later. But let me tell you, that's how the cycle starts. You swipe your card once, then twice, and before you know it, you're drowning in credit card debt. I know because I've been there. I used to think that credit cards were free money. I mean, you swipe a piece of plastic and you get what you want. How could that be bad? Well, let me tell you, those interest rates, they're not a joke. They can quickly turn a small purchase into a mountain of debt. I remember when I first got my credit card, I thought I was being responsible. I used it for emergencies only. Or at least that was the plan. But then I started using it for little things here and there. A new pair of shoes, dinner with friends, you know, essentials. I told myself I'd pay it off in full each month, but I rarely did. And before I knew it, I was in over my head. I was making minimum payments, but the balance just kept growing. I was trapped in a cycle of debt, and it felt impossible to escape. The worst part? It wasn't just about the money. It was the stress, the anxiety, and the feeling of being completely overwhelmed. I knew I had to get out of debt, but I didn't know where to start. So I did what any rational person would do. I ignored it. I buried my head in the sand and hoped it would magically disappear. Spoiler alert, it didn't. In fact, it only got worse. The interest rates kept climbing, and the minimum payments were taking a huge chunk out of my income each month. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I finally decided to make a change. I sat down and created a plan to pay off my debt. I cut up my credit cards, started tracking my spending, and found ways to increase my income. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to break free from the cycle of debt. And you know what? It was the best decision I ever made. Getting out of debt was like lifting a huge weight off my shoulders. I finally felt free. Chapter 3. Let's talk about investing, or in my case, not investing early enough. This is one of my biggest regrets. I used to think that investing was only for rich people. You know, those guys in suits on Wall Street. I figured I was too young, too broke, and too clueless to even think about investing. So I did what any financially irresponsible young person would do. I spent all my money. I thought I had all the time in the world to start investing later. But let me tell you, time is your greatest asset when it comes to investing. The earlier you start, the more time you have for your money to grow. It's all thanks to this magical little thing called compound interest. Compound interest is like a snowball effect. Your money makes money, and then that money makes more money, and so on. It's like a financial chain reaction. But the key is to start early. The longer you wait, the less time your money has to compound, and the more you miss out on potential growth. Let me give you an example. Imagine you invest £10,000 today and earn an average annual return of 7%. In 30 years, that investment would grow to over £76,000. But if you wait just 10 years to start investing, you'll end up with significantly less, even if you invest the same amount of money. That's the power of compounding. And trust me, it's a force you want working for you, not against you. I know what you're thinking, but Valerie, I can barely afford to pay my bills. How am I supposed to invest? I hear you, but the truth is, you don't need a ton of money to start investing. Even if you can only invest a small amount each month, it's better than nothing. Remember, the key is to start early and let compound interest do its thing. Chapter 4. Alright, let's talk about lifestyle inflation. This is a sneaky one, my friends. It creeps up on you slowly, and before you know it, you're spending way more than you can afford. I've been guilty of this myself. Remember that first paycheck I told you about? The one I blew on clothes and fancy dinners? Well, that was just the beginning. As I started making more money, my spending kept pace. I upgraded my apartment, bought a nicer car, and started taking more expensive vacations. I thought I was just treating myself. But in reality, I was falling victim to lifestyle inflation. Every time I got a raise or a bonus, I found new ways to spend it. I was stuck on this hedonic treadmill, constantly chasing after the next big thing. But here's the thing about lifestyle inflation. It's a never-ending cycle. There's always going to be something bigger, better, and more expensive out there. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life trying to keep up with the Joneses. The worst part? Lifestyle inflation can seriously sabotage your financial goals. It's like trying to run a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. You might make some progress, but it's going to be a lot harder than it needs to be. I learned this the hard way. I was so focused on keeping up appearances that I neglected my long-term financial goals. I wasn't saving enough for retirement, and I was putting myself at risk if an unexpected expense popped up. Chapter 5. Let's talk about emergency funds. It's not the most exciting topic, but trust me, it's important. An emergency fund is like a financial safety net. It's there to catch you if life throws you a curveball. And let me tell you, life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. Job loss, medical emergencies, car repairs, you name it. These things happen, and they can wreak havoc on your finances if you're not prepared. I learned this the hard way, of course. Back when I was living paycheck to paycheck and racking up credit card debt, I didn't have an emergency fund. I barely had enough money to cover my bills each month, let alone save for a rainy day. So when my car broke down, I was in trouble. I didn't have the cash to fix it, and I couldn't afford to miss work. I ended up charging the repairs to my credit card, which just dug me deeper into debt. It was a vicious cycle. That experience taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of having an emergency fund. An emergency fund gives you peace of mind. It's like having a financial security blanket. You know that no matter what life throws your way, you'll be able to handle it without going into debt. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Valerie, I can barely afford to pay my bills. How am I supposed to save for an emergency fund? Here's the thing. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. Start small. Even if you can only save £50 or £100 a month, it's better than nothing. The key is to be consistent and make it a priority. Trust me, having an emergency fund is one of the best things you can do for your financial well-being. So there you have it. Those are the top money mistakes I made on my journey to financial freedom. But here's the good news. You don't have to make the same mistakes I did. Learn from my experience. Start budgeting, ditch the credit card debt, invest early and consistently, avoid lifestyle inflation, and build a solid emergency fund. It won't be easy, but I promise you, it will be worth it. Financial freedom is possible for everyone. It doesn't matter where you're starting from or what your financial situation looks like right now. What matters is that you take that first step. Start small, be consistent, and never give up on your dreams. Share your own experiences in the comments below. What money mistakes have you made and what lessons have you learned? Let's help each other out. Remember, the path to financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint.